Hello, hello. Welcome to Minute Movies. We are live. We've got a short and sweet screening for you all today. And if you're just tuning into Minute Movies for the very first time, welcome. It's good to have you. We are a film group that meets monthly, and filmmakers make a movie every month inspired by a one-word theme. And this month, that theme is order. So we're here to see some order. We only have 2 films for you today. So Jeff, I see you in the comments, and Warner, hello to both of you. Jeff, when you're able, you can hop backstage and we'll get started with your film first. And also, while you're watching the films, we do not have the skateboard to spin the wheel this month. So if anyone has any ideas for words, I'm all ears, and we'll do a little drawing of words at the end of the screening. All right. Jeff, I'm going to add you in.
Good evening.
How are you?
Okay.
Evening.
They sound better. So it's very good. And the clip I submitted was tried some new things. Some of them didn't work, so I went back to trying things that I knew would work. So, but I just one of the things that I have found helpful coming up with script ideas is to like search quotes for the word to help get something going. So I just found the one that worked for me, and it's just straight. That's the only dialogue that's in it is a character, and I guess so. We're ready to roll it.
Alrighty, let's check it out.
It was the want of the immortal gods. Sometimes to grant prosperity and long impunity to men whose crimes they were minded to punish, in order that the complete reverse of fortune might make them suffer more bitterly. Julius Caesar, Gallic War, Book 1, Chapter 14.
Whoop, there it goes.
There we are. that was a good quote.
Yeah, I liked it. It was really interesting, and my wife said kind of when she saw what I'd done, kind of drip cynicism. So it was, part of it was trying to. I actually made little smoke, and a lot of the smoke is from the stock clip, which is actually, I believe, a lava field in Iceland, or a geothermal field. So I added some smoke through After Effects, and Other than that, it was just a matter of polishing, and once I gave up trying to do the in After Effects, you can do it's called parallax, where you've got different, the X, Y, and the Z axis, so that it provides an illusion of depth and 3Dness. And I couldn't quite figure out how to manipulate the video of the field so that I could break it down into 3 or 4 separate planes. I'm sure there's a way. I just didn't come across it yet. So I eliminated things that didn't work this time. And
sometimes simplifying is the best way.
Yeah, and that's really what I ended up doing, is just using the map feature in Premiere to, give the illusion of some of the topography was in front of the character, and place topography in front of the examples, the screen animation. So I'm pretty pleased about how it turned out, and I'm glad it was only a minute long.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And Warner too says neat character designs.
Yeah, and some of the old scratch I used it for, but the gods were either from Pixabay. I think one of them may have been off of the Adobe Cloud, Creative Cloud service I subscribed to. So I really wanted to keep the images not looking like contemporary things that are made in Illustrator. But so that's why I like to go back and find almost all that's public domain, or the artist gave a Creative Commons license to it on Pixabay. And so that's where the images came from. Is like I said, tried to keep it looking anachronistic a little bit. And the word want, W-O-N-T, is also an anachronistic word that I thought about. Do I want to have that be part of it? And I decided to go with it because it's, it really fit. And I didn't find anything else to substitute for the Caesar quote. And I certainly didn't want to go about changing the word, because that would just, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a word that I've heard before, but I don't know, like seeing it written out, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen someone write that word.
Yeah. And it is really, a very anachronistic, not used much in contemporary literature. I don't know for how long. Whenever it was translated from the Greek or Latin that Julius Caesar wrote it into, contemporary English, is how whoever did the translation decided that was the right word at the time.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. It's
Happy
good to see you.
I think it worked out well.
Too. We'll see you next time.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Next up, we have Warner from Mutansky Films. And when you're ready, I'll go ahead and add you in. Hello.
How's it going, everybody? Good. Thanks.
Surviving the Midwest cold snap?
Love it. 10 degrees, holding steady. So, we had some sun a little bit today. I don't know about where you are, but
yeah, we had some sun. Felt nice.
Yeah, so let's just say that the dogs live high and mighty. I serve them, so run right in. They bark and hit the door whenever they're ready to come back in. So, but otherwise, it's been pretty steady. So,
Yeah, it's about to get warm. It's supposed to be 33 here tomorrow, which is practically balmy.
And this is your first winter, so how has that been going, considering Seattle's more mild?
It's my second winter, actually.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Already, wow.
but I know, right? Time flies.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been, I mean, it was fairly mild up until this cold snap Arctic blast that we got. Um, Christmas time, it was like 50 and raining and felt just like Seattle.
Oof. Yeah, that rain went on for a while. And did
Yeah.
Stuart get through Chicago okay, or any issues there
Yeah, I think he's actually
on his
with
way?
his cousin in Chicago right now.
That's awesome. Okay.
I don't know. I thought he was going to make it, but he hasn't. So I'm assuming he's hanging out with his cousin and lost track of
Where
time.
are his priorities? I mean, personal
I
life.
know, right?
I mean, come on. So, all right.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything you want to say about your film before we watch it?
I'll share just a couple of production gaffes at the end of it, but this is just kind of a spoof clip on the Davos retreat that was happening, I guess, last week with a lot of the head honchos, and so, but it's yet another Jimmy installment. So I enjoyed it, and then I'll just share a couple of comments at the end. So.
All right. Well, let's watch it.
And thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jamie Butomsky. Digital health passes, social ID scores, and bank withdrawal limits all in common at this year's annual Davos retreat, at which unelected health officials and world billionaires will once again be gathered. Joining us to discuss will be World Economic Federation chairperson Klaus Vanderschnickel. Chairman Vanderschnickel, appreciate you joining us. Can you tell us a little bit more about the focus of this year's conference?
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. Ultimately, digital surveillance will help reduce every citizen's carbon footprint.
And how can one even begin to start collecting data and uniting over such a larger cause of such an order?
For infrastructure rollout on this level, you usher in another global emergency.
Better fill up on my own V8 diesel before I get flagged. Tomorrow on News 9 is the Federal Reserve closing in on its own digital dollar. An insider joins us. That's then.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, so in the last minute, I had some issues with someone that was going to be helping as the character. So, surprise, I had to put together one of my sort of distorted face, pull it together. So I wasn't struggling, but it did add a little bit on to the shoot. Plus, my neighbor upstairs, I was like, I think she's an elderly person, and it was like she was doing a marathon or aerobics maybe, but literally every 3 seconds it was like bam, 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 bam. So I start my shoot, and I must have done 20 takes. So I literally almost was gonna say, I was gonna go upstairs, but if I heard the outtakes, that would be more entertaining than the clip that I actually put together, because the cursing and how it is, that I like the behind the scenes, but
Should have added a little blooper reel to the end, and it's just completely beeped out.
yeah, a lot of bloopers here. So, but finally, the creaking subsided, and I was able to. It was actually okay, because you know how it is. You got to run the lines, run the lines, run the lines, run the lines, and sometimes I will put some cards up for keywords like digital health IDs, social credit scores, cash withdrawal limits. It's kind of a tongue twister, but even amid that, I'm trying to sound smooth, like I'm reading a teleprompter. So when those creaks are happening, it just kept interfering. So it was a test of patience. But like I said, I then had to add in the other face filter, and but I was trying to play up the sort of banker elites hanging out in a ski resort. So enjoyed it.
Yeah. Was that clip of the people from the actual summit or meeting?
Yeah, it was kind of a fictional take on the head of this. I called it Economic Federation, but the actual group I think is called World Economic Forum. But a lot of them are unelected. A lot of them are billionaires, and obviously they talk a lot about the climate. And I think this year they were focusing on AI and I think central bank digital currencies, which is sort of more of a surveillance approach. So I tried to kind of touch on that, but not do it in a way that's preachy or preach-esque, so to speak. So
Yeah.
but it's interesting times. So
Yeah. Yeah. A lot going on.
showcase that a little bit. So, but the productions are always interesting at the last minute. So, as you know.
Yeah. Well, it's good you made it work. As Jeff
Very
said,
good.
it sounded clean. You got some good clean takes.
I hope so. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I know the audio was a little bit off, like it wasn't balanced perfectly, but overall I was okay with the track. But thank you. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And, good thing we always have your fun face filters to fall back on.
Exactly. I knew that I could make it work, and I wanted it to be really disturbing. And I had so much. My favorite part is when I'm right about to tee up the shot to the official, and he's just kind of like in the background waiting. That was by design. So, because I wanted to have a couple seconds of awkwardness of him anticipating his talk. So,
and that is very realistic. I feel like you see that on the news all the time. Of we're going to cut to this person, and then they're kind of awkwardly waiting for
yes, exactly.
the cue that they're on.
Of course, and Jeff can attest to that after having been at the station for years. So,
yeah. Well, thanks, Warner.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. Glad you survived the cold.
Exactly. Yeah, and have a great month and enjoy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, this is a quick screening, so we're going to watch those two again. And then I do have some words, some themes that we've come up with before. So I'll throw those into, I guess, a randomizer online. And if you think of any while these other two films are playing, then go ahead and drop those in the comments, and I'll add them to the list. And then we'll see what the theme is for next month. But in the meantime, here we go with our films again.
It was the want of the immortal gods, sometimes to grant prosperity and long impunity to men whose crimes they were minded to punish, in order that the complete reverse of fortune might make them suffer more bitterly. Julius Caesar, Gallic War, Book 1, Chapter 14.
And thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jamie Butomsky, Digital health passes, social ID scores, and bank withdrawal limits, all in common at this year's annual Davos retreat, at which unelected health officials and world billionaires will once again be gathered. Joining us to discuss will be World Economic Federation Chairperson Klaus Vanderschnickel. Chairman Vanderschnickel, appreciate you joining us. Can you tell us a little bit more about the focus of this year's conference?
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. Ultimately, digital surveillance will help reduce every citizen's carbon footprint.
How can one even begin to start collecting data and uniting over such a larger cause or such an order?
For infrastructure rollout on this level, you usher in another global emergency.
Better fill up on my own V8 diesel before I get flagged. Tomorrow on News 9 is the Federal Reserve closing in on its own digital dollar. An insider joins us. That's then.
All right. We've got a couple words in the chat here, so let me just add those to my list. If my screen is doing something. Well, let's let it think for a minute, and then I will add these words to my list. Actually, we did drop, surprisingly enough, back in 2018. Don't remember that, but that was there. It's a good thing I made this list here, because I can't remember all the words that we've been doing for the past 10 years, and so I have a Google sheet with everything, because you know, there was a time I could remember everything that we've done, but not anymore. Okay, let me find my StreamYard again. Okay. Here we go. Can you see the list? It's kind of small on there. There we go. So we have a few words here. And hook is our #1 word from the randomizer. All right. Hook. See what you can come up with to hook us into your film next time. And with that, have a great night, everyone. We'll see you next month on February 18th. Good night.